Hey everyone, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to see if you have limited hip internal rotation. So I've been doing a lot of videos on this topic of hip IR, and it's something I'm super passionate about because everyone is stuck in external rotation. So when you see people standing, you may notice people have their hips turned out. I mean, that's a pretty common way pregnant people tend to stand because when you stand in hip external rotation, that is actually going to open the top of the pelvis and create more space for the baby. So that's something that should naturally happen. But when that happens, we tend to waddle a lot and we tend to have really stiff hips and really tight glutes. So it makes sense that if you've been pregnant and you're postpartum now and you tend to stand like that you might have very limited hip internal rotation, which is when your hips rotate inwards. So if I'm standing, my hip internal rotation will be this movement. So how do I know if I have limited hip internal rotation? So one of the first signs is that you may just be naturally turning your hips and your feet out when you stand. You may notice too that if you force yourself to stand with your feet straight, you might feel like a stretch back here. It might feel very difficult. It might feel very foreign. You might feel like there's a pull in the back of your pelvis or even a stretch in your IT bands. Another way to check if you have limited hip internal rotation is when you check your mobility, you can't move your foot very far out. So again, this is hip external rotation. Super common, everyone does figure 4 stretches. Hip internal rotation is this direction. So you want to make sure when you do this is that you keep your knees stable and you're just rotating your hip in. Again, it's this rotation inwards. So that's an easy test to see how much internal rotation you have. In order to be more healthy, you should have symmetrical hip external rotation and internal rotation. So my external rotation right now, this is maybe about, 45, 60 degrees. You should also have something very similar. I probably have about 45 degrees. So again, you want equal mobility in both directions. So that is a very quick way to know if you have good hip internal rotation or very limited hip internal rotation. I hope that video was helpful. And again, working on hip internal rotation is so important, especially if you struggle with prolapse or stress incontinence. So I will also link that video below so that you can check that out.